Before we experience momentum, there has to be movement. I'm going to say that again. Before we experience momentum, there has to be movement. Hello and welcome to 2020 at the Coach's Corner. You know what? I'm believing that this year is going to be your best year yet. I'm believing that you are going to go to another level in every area of your life in 2020. And there's one thing that we're going to be talking about here in the next few weeks that I believe is going to help you do that. We're going to be talking about momentum. Momentum is a force or speed of movement. Now, everybody knows you play better with momentum. Life is better. When you've got a momentum behind you, everything is better. But before we experience momentum, there has to be movement. I'm going to say that again. Before we experience momentum, there has to be movement. Everybody wants momentum in their life, but nobody wants to create movement in their life. Why? Because riding the wave of momentum is easy. Creating movement in your life that creates the wave is challenging and difficult. Now, whenever we talk about momentum in sports, you've heard momentum referred to as Big Mo. Now, everybody wants Big Mo on their sidelines. Everybody wants Big Mo behind them. But Big Mo doesn't just show up because you show up on the sidelines. No, Big Mo shows up whenever somebody decides to do something to get Big Mo, to attract Big Mo to their side. So what does that mean for us? That means that we've got to do something. If we want to live with Big Mo on our side, if we want to live riding the wave of momentum, that means that we have to do something. There is something that we must do to create this momentum, and it comes through movement. So in the next 3 weeks, we're going to do three things. Today, we're going to look at how do I get momentum. Next week, we're going to talk about how do I keep momentum. And thirdly, we're going to talk about how do I grow momentum. So let's talk today. How do we get momentum? Which the real question is this: how do I get movement? Because I can't get momentum without movement. So if I want momentum, I've got to create movement. So how do I create movement? How do I get movement? Number one is this: you got to have a new mindset. Okay, you've got to begin to think new thoughts. You've got to begin to think that things are possible, that things can change. You've got to get a new mindset and mentality. You've got to elevate your thinking if you want to elevate your life. Now, if you want a new way of thinking, here's the second thing that you got to get. You got to get some new inputs. You have to start listening to some new ideas, to some new perspectives. You say, where do you get that? You can get that from podcasts. You can get that from YouTube. You've got to get some different voices, some different ways of thinking in your mind so that you can think those new thoughts. Now, whenever you start thinking new thoughts and whenever you get these new inputs in, here's what's going to happen. Number three is this: you're going to get some new routines in your life. You're going to start doing some things that you have never done. Maybe that's going to the gym. Maybe that's reading books. Maybe that's doing some exercise right there in your home. Maybe that's prayer, meditation. I don't know what it is, but there's going to start being some new routines because of these new inputs and these new thoughts that you're having in your mind. Here's the fourth thing that's going to follow that. That's going to be new friends. You're going to start spending time with people who are challenging you. Maybe it's people that you meet at the gym. Maybe that's people in your small group that you get involved in with your church. I don't know where it is, but whenever you start elevating your life, you're going to find yourself in new circles and with new people. It is necessary if you want to get this movement in your life. Now, once we begin to get these new thoughts and we've got these new inputs and we're creating some of these new routines and we're getting new circles of friends around us, what's going to start happening is we're going to create some new habits. You say, what does that mean? That means we're going to start repeating some things, and we're going to be repeating those things without an internal debate. You know, whenever you start changing things, man, it's always that debate, right? Am I going to eat unhealthy? I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to get up this morning, go to the gym. Am I not going to go to the gym? Am I going to go to church this night? I'm not going. It's always this internal debate. But once you start developing a new habit, that internal debate begins to die down and you begin to automatically lean one way. You start making a different choice. And that is the habit. Maybe that is the behavior in your car. When you get in your car, now, instead of turning on the local radio station, you're going to put on a podcast or maybe take that time to pray. Maybe whenever you're in a difficult moment, you don't call that old friend, you call a new friend. So who you call changes. Why? Because you have a new habit. Now, what that leads to is this. That leads to a new normal. You begin to live with hope and not hopelessness. You begin to live with self-discipline instead of self-pity. You begin to live with determination instead of despair. And these things become your new normal. And that's whenever you realize, man, I am getting momentum in my life because these things that I used to not have are becoming normal. These elevated thoughts that I used to never have, they're becoming normal. These friends who are encouraging me and empowering me and forming, that wasn't what I used to have. Okay, these things are changing. These routines in my life, they weren't in my life 2 months ago, 3 months ago, but now all of a sudden these routines are becoming such a part of my life and I am creating a new normal. I am beginning to live a new life. See, that's how you get momentum. You get momentum through movement. You see, where movement goes, momentum follows. Where movement goes, momentum follows. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to show up the day you move one day, here comes, all the momentum the next day. You don't know when momentum is coming, but trust me, if you start moving in the right direction, and you start doing the right things as you're on that pathway, it's only a matter of time and the wave of momentum is going to come behind you and it is going to propel you forward in every area of your life. So how do you get momentum? The real question is, how do you get that movement? And you got to start doing different things to experiencing those different results. So we got to get a new mindset. You got to get new inputs, develop some new routines, find some new friends, get some new habits, and create a new normal in your life. And you will begin to live and experience the momentum that God created you for.